Good evening, everyone. It is 5:30, and the Cleveland City Schools Board of Education will now come to order. We'll have a moment of silence and Pledge of Allegiance led by Ms. Hakes. Thank you, Ms. Hakes. Ms. Wheeler, do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Thank you, Ms. Wheeler. All right, I'd like to take the time to welcome Ms. Danielle Seals to Cleveland's Board of Education meeting. She is she's one of the employees of the chamber here locally. And before I get started with the meeting agenda, I want to read a couple things to you. The Cleveland City Schools Board of Education is committed to providing a high-quality education to all students and to working collaboratively with the community to achieve this goal. As chairman of the Cleveland City Schools Board of Education, I'm committed to running an orderly meeting and an efficient meeting and treating everyone with respect. Board members will be provided equal voice for all matters, and board members should communicate through the director of schools for addressing his staff. Here are a couple of reminders for our parents and community. Board of Education policies can be found on the clevelandschools.org website. When there, simply click District, Board of Directors, and select Board Policies. Our meetings are not public forums. However, the board has made accommodations for a city resident, a Cleveland City Schools employee, or a parent, guardian of a Cleveland City Schools student to address the board via a couple ways. That's outlined in Board Policy 1.404. All right, board members. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda. So is there anything on the consent agenda that you would like removed? All right, I haven't heard anything, so I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Have a first from Ms. Pesterfield.
Second.
Have a second from Ms. Ingram. Thank you. Ms. Wheeler, will you call the vote?
Carolyn Ingram.
Yes.
Andy Lay.
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield. Yes. Jody Riggins.
Yes.
Nate Tucker.
Yes.
Renee Diamond.
Yes.
Matt Coleman. Yes. Motion passed.
Thank you. We'll continue with our regular agenda, and the first item on the regular agenda is the director's update. Dr. Elliott.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tucker, and welcome to everybody. Tonight, it's always good to talk about the great things happening in Cleveland City Schools. A lot of special events have happened the past month and moving forward in the last few weeks of school. And this is what we're all about, is our academic success and our students. So let's just dive right on in. First of all, we had an opportunity to celebrate our Champions of the Month for Mayfield Elementary. It's our school that we're featuring this month. And Ms. Rachel Sampson, a fourth grade teacher, does a phenomenal job. And we were able to present her with her award and recognize her in front of her class. And Dante Carbajal Diaz is a fourth grade student, just a genuine individual, smiles all the time, taking leadership roles as an ambassador at Mayfield and welcoming people and working in the STEM area. And so we were glad to be able to recognize those two champions of the month. Last month, as I said, in April, very busy time in our schools. So obviously, right off the bat, testing is a big issue during the month of April for all of our schools, and a lot of people are involved, many hours put into that. TCAP preparation, our teachers, our staff, behind the scenes, our district level individuals who prepare and get that ready. So hats off to everyone for a big accomplishment with that. April, big-time musicals, concerts, spring sports, events, and family nights across our schools, and so really extreme performances out there, and it's just so good to see our students performing during this time of year. Cherries Jubilee, a big event. You see a picture there where our culinary team, shout out to our culinary team for doing a fantastic job with the cherry pie and desserts there at Cherry's Jubilee that helps out our arts programs. April the 16th was our CTE Awards Night, where we celebrated all things CTE, and our students did fabulous jobs at the middle school and the high school level. We had a board meeting a couple of weeks ago to take a look at our budget that we'll be talking about later. Our Ames Annual Superintendent's Conference, I attended that in April, and that is for our municipal city school systems, and each year the superintendents gather to talk about and to learn more as far as city school systems are together, and just a good time to network as well. Graduate with Distinction banquet or reception was held. We had the Celebrate Blue evening. I'll show some pictures about that in a minute. Senior Honors Night, breakfast with the board. Our monthly meeting was at Mayfield and Facilities Committee. We had a great time with Blue on the Green, and several families and our staff came out on Thursday night of last week right out here on the Greenway. Senior Walk was Friday, a tremendous opportunity for our seniors to go back to their middle and elementary schools here in our district, and that was fun, and I'll show a picture of that here in a minute. And our BCPEF partners had a special luncheon for our donors and our partners on Friday, and I'd just like to say a shout out to our students and our staff who presented. They did a wonderful job. A lot of things here. I won't go through all of these, but a big month, just the next 3 weeks coming down the pike. A couple of professional development days are on our schedule, May 5th and May 15th. Tomorrow being one of those, tomorrow being Election Day. And so our students won't be coming to our schools tomorrow for school, but we'll continue on. May 15th is another professional development day as we prepare for the new year and wrap up this school year. Special events at the last week of school with school awards programs, and of course, this Friday night is graduation at Raider Arena. These are just some highlights and pictures of all the great things happening in our elementary schools, from celebrations to STEM activities to plays. I'll show you more pictures of plays. That one, it's there at Wizard of Oz at Arnold. You can see all sorts of fun activities, popsicle attendance awards, bubble discovery opportunities, house meetings at Ross, B-Day over at Yates, and Arbor Day celebrations going on at Candies Creek. These are just some more middle school pictures of a lot of STEM activities happening across the school, and project-based learning events occurring, so we wanted to show those. And here are some of the arts activities that have been happening in the last few weeks. You can see Susical over at the high school, along with our percussion ensemble that performed yesterday, to our elementary plays, Frozen for Kids, and in the bottom corner, Finding Nemo at Stewart, and our choir performances at the high school. Renaissance and Ebony and Ivory did a fantastic job. District champs, as far as the regular season, our baseball team. We celebrated our wrestlers at City Council for state championships at for our girls and our guys. Our mathletes in this region came out on top, competing against several high schools, and so they were at competition. We're proud of our mathletes. CTE Awards Night, as I mentioned, our director awards and our awards program was last Monday night at First Baptist. Several awards recognitions, and again, graduate of distinction pictures there at the bottom. It was Tree Month also last month. The Tennessee Environmental Council came and planted trees at our Denning Center and also at Blythe Bower. Those are those top pictures. And the bottom pictures, shout out and appreciation to our partners for us being able to plant 55 trees over at Candies Creek, Cherokee. And that was in partnership with the Tree Board here in Cleveland, the City of Cleveland, the board here, and special thanks to Candies Creek leadership, Becca Lay, and also Sarah Whitener and the team at Candies Creek. Last couple, our media blitz was really good last month. We are continuing to get updates on the bus patrol and getting inquiries about our leadership in the state on cracking down on the safety of our drivers who come around our buses, and so that's been going well. And also we were able to feature a new club over at the high school called Best Buddies on Local 3, and other stations have picked that up as well. And again, we've featured some continued work on our plane as it's coming almost to completion there at Cleveland High School. This is a picture of the senior class over at Cleveland Middle last week on Friday when they were doing the senior walk. And Celebrate Blue last 2 Saturday nights ago was a fantastic event. We had a wonderful time gathering with many business partners, alum, also with many of you and our administrative team and other staff members. And so these are just a few pictures from that celebration. And that's my director's update.
Thank you, Dr. Elliott. Board members, are there any questions for Dr. Elliott or comments? All right, next on the agenda, we have teacher tenure recommendations, and this is a voting item.
Okay, we have a list of names that we're going to share with you for teacher recommendations for tenure that is listed in your attachment on your agenda. So these are the names that we bring to you to recommend for tenure here in Cleveland City Schools. So that's my proposal, is that you accept these for tenure in Cleveland City Schools. After this vote, we'll be having a time to spotlight these individuals and bring them up.
All right, board members, we have this list of nominees for tenure as provided by the Director of Schools. As a recommendation, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, that was Ms. Riggins and Ms. Diamond. Ms. Wheeler, call the vote.
Andy Lake,
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield,
Yes.
Jody Riggins,
Yes.
Nate Tucker,
Yes.
Renee Diamond,
Yes.
Matt Coleman,
Yes.
Carolyn Ingram.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, as I mentioned, the spotlight, number one spotlight for the evening is to recognize our tenured teachers. And I've asked Mr. Kaiser and Dr. Rodriguez from the Human Resources Department to come and make those presentations.
Good evening, board and staff. If you were one of the ones that was nervous to see how they would vote, you could take a deep breath. We wouldn't do that to you. So just a reminder of what it does take to become tenured. You must be recommended by your school principal and the director of schools, and you have to have received evaluations demonstrating an overall level of effectiveness of above expectations at 4 or significantly above expectations at 5 during the last 2 years of the probationary period, which is a minimum of 45 months. So this is quite an accomplishment. So we want to make sure that we honor these folks today, and what a great time to recognize folks receiving tenure than Teacher Appreciation Week. So we will begin at Arnold Memorial Elementary School, Miss Marissa Murray. We do have a couple of folks that are out on maternity leave, so you may not see them here tonight. Miss Dr. Chris Thomas at Arnold Memorial Elementary School. Miss Kayla Caldwell at Blythebauer Elementary School. Miss Kristen Edmonds at Blythebauer Elementary School. Miss Tamara Goins at Blythebauer Elementary School. Miss Carrie Hall at Blythebauer Elementary School. Miss Skylar Lehman at Blythebauer Elementary School. Now that everybody at Blythebauer has tenure, we will move on to Miss Heather Mano at Candies Creek, Cherokee Elementary School. Also, Mr. Jacob Murphy at Candies Creek, Cherokee Elementary School. And Miss Tina Owens at Candies Creek. and Brittany Stevens at Candies Creek. Bailey Burnett at Mayfield Elementary School. Lacey Lehman at Mayfield Elementary School. Alan DeSiena at Ross Elementary School. Kaylee Vaught at Ross Elementary School. Amy Vaughn at George R. Stewart Elementary School. Abigail Elrod at Yates Primary School. Sarah Owen at Yates Primary School. Don Barger at Cleveland High School. Matthew High at Cleveland High School. Megan Salisbury at Cleveland High School. Shelley McClanahan at Cleveland Middle School. And Hannah White at Cleveland Middle School. Congratulations to each one of you, and I think Ms. King is going to have squeeze in so she can get you in a picture.
Congratulations.
And here I thought they came to see the board members. All right, next item on the agenda is student spotlight.
All right, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Acciona from Cleveland Middle School, principal, as we have a special student spotlight for the evening.
Good evening, board. I wanted to introduce you to a very special young man here at Cleveland Middle School. This is Alberto Palomino Salgado. Alberto is our two-time reigning spelling bee champion. Alberto in 6th grade and in 7th grade has retained that title, and this year Alberto was able to move on, and I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about where he moved on to after Cleveland Middle. But the Cleveland Middle spelling bee this year was hosted and read by Miss Brandy King. She did a great job with that, and it went the distance. It went 52 rounds, and Alberto spelled 52 words, which I'd be pressed to even know how to use some of these words. But he got up there and just delivered them, and his mom and dad are in the back, Mr. and Mr. Palomino, Miss Salgado. So I've never seen a cheering section at a spelling bee, but they were in force. They had the whole back row there, and they were cheering every time he got one correct, and it was really exciting. It was a very exciting time. I'll let Alberto tell you what happened after that, though.
Hi. So after the regional, I took an online test to qualify for state, and yeah, I had to study, but I didn't get as far as I expected. I only got to level 2, which is like intermediate words, which were still hard, but I took the test on, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, one of those, and I took the test in Miss Turner's office, and I don't know how my brain was functioning, but I got a 47 out of 50 on the test, which was like 94%. And then we didn't find out the results until like 2 weeks later, which was the most suspenseful 2 weeks ever. But like I had to study as much as I could. The only thing I regret was like after I was study, I didn't review. That's the only thing I regret not doing after I finished like doing a whole book I had of words I needed to study. Like I finished the entire list, but I never got to review. I only had 2 days to review, and those 2 days, it was like 6 hours of reviewing, and I don't know. But when I woke up for the day of state, I was scared, but I wasn't that scared because I knew I wasn't gonna win, but I knew I was gonna make it far, like better than I did last year, because I've been to state 2 times already. Yeah, in 6th grade I made it to the 2nd round. This year I made it to the 4th round, but like this year, for some reason the words were way harder, even though they were the same. Like say one of my words were superficiality. But the word that got me out was Ritalin, because I was doing info and I found out there's a thing called the schwa, and it's the schwas where it can either be A, E, I, or U, one of the vowels, and I had to just guess. So, but I got it wrong.
Well, that's amazing, though. I'll just shout out to you guys. I saw you last year, but then this year at the spelling bee at Cleveland Middle, like you said, many rounds, and you hung in there and you were persistent. Great job. And then you got to go to, where was the state? You want to tell us?
Tennessee Titans in Nashville.
So it's pretty cool to get to go to Tennessee Titans Stadium there. So awesome job and well done, and way to go to represent Cleveland City Schools, too. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is another student spotlight.
For this student spotlight, I'm going to call on Cleveland High School principal, Mr. Bob Pritchard.
Yes, and I'm going to turn it over here in just a second to the coolest man in Cleveland, Tennessee, Jim Burton, and the jazz band extraordinaire, Mr. Eric Simpson. If y'all haven't heard the band, they are amazing. Like, they are just so meticulous and spot on. But I'm going to bring those guys up and introduce our all-state kiddos.
Thank you, Board, for having us this evening. I want to introduce our 2 All-State band members this year. From the 9-10 band, he ended up, after the complete auditions, being 4th chair out of every 9th and 10th grade trombone player in the state. That's Bryce Cowan. And from the 11th and 12th grade band, also, oddly enough, ended up being 4th chair in the state. As well on trumpet, this is Eli Gallagher. And just to finish it off, these young men are not only fantastic musicians, they're incredible leaders. They set an example for all of us, including Mr. Simpson and I, every single day with their work ethic. So we're super proud of them. And again, we appreciate you recognizing them at this time.
Thank you to the music guys. One other thing to brag about with our band program is this year our Cleveland High School band was recognized as, I believe it is, Mr. Burton can help me out with this, one out of 36 bands in the state to be recognized
With the
for sweepstakes,
With
right?
the sweepstakes award, yes, sir. And we were also given the American School Band Directors Award of Distinction for concert performance this year as well.
And that means all one performances. And also to Mr. Simpson, congratulations on a world premiere of your rendition and music of, I believe it was Road Trip last week, and our band performed that as a world premiere of the music that you authored. So congratulations on that, too. Now we'll get a picture with our spelling bee phenomena here with the family.
Next item on the agenda is the school spotlight.
Our school spotlight this month is Mayfield Elementary School, and Dr. Jessica Bigham, the principal there, is coming to present all the great things happening over there.
Yeah, there's so many of them. I have to ask a question. When I click this, do I point that one, or does it matter? Doesn't matter. Boom. Okay. So good evening, members of the board. Thank you so very much for this opportunity to share Mayfield's story. While we value strong data, this year has been more about our people than our numbers. It's about students walking into classrooms feeling safe, feeling supported, willing to take risks. It's about connection and confidence and belonging. You will see data tonight because it matters, but the real impact is in the growth and resilience that our students show every day. And tonight, I'm proud to share how Mayfield is not just improving, but we are transforming our students' experience. Every now and then, a story reminds us exactly why it is we do this work. And I'd like to share one of those stories with you. If you can see my little guy on the left, his name is Atticus. Before Mayfield, Atticus struggled. He repeated kindergarten. He was not reading after 2 years of kindergarten. He was facing anxiety, having frequent meltdowns, and his local private school labeled him a distraction. And they told his family he could no longer attend. That could have been the end of his story, but it wasn't, thank goodness. The summer before first grade, Atticus had the chance to attend some tutoring sessions at Mayfield, and something changed for him. He rediscovered a love for learning and for school. And so because of that, his mom took a chance on public education. She took a chance on Mayfield, and it changed everything for him. Today, Atticus is one of our fastest growing students. His scores are rising, but more importantly, so is his confidence and his joy and his belief in himself. He found success, he found confidence, he found people who believed in him. And his mom, she now proudly tells everyone that Mayfield saved her son, and she is the most fierce proponent of public education you will now meet. So I love that. However, Atticus is not, he's just one. He's just one of our 418 beautifully diverse students walking the hall. Mayfield has a representation of 11 countries and at least 7 languages. And our diversity, it's not something that we're simply going to acknowledge, but it's something we're going to use as our greatest strength. It pushes us to think deeper, to care more, and to build a community that reflects the world beyond our walls. At Mayfield, our differences don't divide us, they unite us, and they inspire us to dream bigger. Our guiding staff theme this year has been Becoming the Dream Team. And our pursuit of this goal has been built on 3 core commitments: vulnerable leadership, the collective belief that every student can succeed, and academic press. And when those 3 come together for us, we're not just going to get improvement, we're going to see extraordinary student growth. Over time, we developed at our school an intentional approach to make these kind of successes happen, and we call it the Mayfield Playbook. And at its core, are our two commitments, which are a relentless focus on academic press and a deep investment in pastoral care. We hold high academic expectations for every student, and we don't lower the bar. But at the same time, we recognize that students meet those high expectations when they feel safe, supported, and understood. I'm going to let you see 2 brief videos from some of our awesome Mayfield Eagles.
Ezra, what is your favorite thing you have learned this year?
My favorite thing I've learned this year is adding big numbers.
Kenneth, what's your favorite thing you've learned this year?
My favorite thing is that I learned read and writing, and I learned how to do multiplications. And
Yeah? All right, thank you, Kenneth.
That was Kenneth. However, when we analyzed last year's TCAP data, there was an unfortunate pattern that became clear. I did notice that our literacy growth was stagnant. It was something that I wanted to be serious about addressing, and so to improve, I had to act with clarity and intention. We looked at how we were designing our literacy lessons, and we realized that just one phonics lesson for all students wasn't enough. So we changed the system. We designed something that we call the Mayfield SOAR Zones, and it's built on the belief that every child deserves to be met where they're at. So instead of pacing our students through one pre-sequenced scope of instruction, we aligned our literacy instruction to students. So we grouped them by their need, where they needed to be in the phonics progression. We didn't group them by labels or by a pacing guide. We didn't want a one-size-fits-all approach anymore. And when that instruction became targeted like that, it became very precise. When we started to deliver the right instruction to the right students at the right time and monitor that progress closely, we kept our groups flexible. We expected growth, but really, it was amazing. Everything began to shift. We saw gaps that stopped widening, bridges being built, students gaining confidence and success. They were telling us, hey, I'm a good reader. They were so excited. I want to show you some data. Those numbers may not mean much to you on the graph, but we did a case study with one of our second grade skills groups in Miss Adams' class. And those 90, 72, and 53, those numbers that you see on the graph, they actually represent over a year and a half of growth. So these are second graders who were coming into the school with skills gaps in their reading skills, foundational literacy skills. They came in on a second grade level, and they are already now, this year and a half was actually only in one semester, but now they're caught up. They are on second grade level. So we're still watching them. They're going to do even more. We also strengthened our math and our science work. Every teacher set and monitored a math fluency goal, and we saw results that followed. You can see the graphs there. We had a previous dip in math, but then our proficiency rebounded to over 40% proficiency in math, and that's on 3rd through 5th TCAP. And then that same level of intention carried into our STEAM work. We're the only Cleveland City school right now who has the STEAM designation, but we wanted to make sure that we stayed focused on that commitment and not just on that title. So the shift you can see is showing up in our outcomes. In science, we're actually outperforming the district, and we have proficiency that surpasses 42%. Okay, I'm going to let you hear from 2 more of my favorite kiddos.
Lucy, what's your favorite thing you've learned this year?
My favorite thing I've learned is probably writing, because it definitely improved. And I went from writing 2 paragraphs to 6, and I could probably write more than 1 essay.
You absolutely could, Lucy.
Hey, Zeus, what is your favorite thing you have learned this year?
My favorite thing I learned this year is that I learned how to read.
He's so cute. But you guys know this, the work doesn't happen alone. Through grants and partnerships, our students have access to opportunities beyond the classroom, making their learning more meaningful, engaging, and equitable. These experiences are allowing our students to explore, create, and achieve at higher levels. So I'm going to give you an example video from one of the really amazing Bradley Cleveland Public Education Foundation grants that our librarian received.
Hi, my name is Amelia Grubb, librarian at Mayfield Elementary School. Thanks to your generous support through the Bradley Cleveland Public Education Foundation, we were able to expand our world language collection to better serve our students. This grant allowed us to add books and dictionaries in the languages represented in our school community, including Spanish, Ukrainian, Russian, Gujarati, Hindi, French, Portuguese, Haitian Creole, and Chuukese. Thank you so much for making this possible for our students. Our students previously had very limited access to books in their home languages. For some, this is the first time they have ever held a book written in the language they speak at home. These materials are now part of our library collection and are available to all students and teachers, creating a more inclusive and representative reading environment.
I think that's pretty cool. At the same time, our commitment to the whole child remains strong. Just to brag for a second, this is the 4th year in a row that Mayfield is a national showcase school for capturing kids' hearts. So I'm very proud of that accomplishment, but I would like to say that Mayfield is more than a showcase, and it's more than just an elementary school. It's a place where students walk in carrying stories that we may never fully know, and together we help them write new ones. Where a child who struggled to read stands taller the day that the words begin to come together. Where students begin to believe, I can do this. Because what we're building isn't just achievement. It's belief, it's dignity, and it's possibility.
I feel safe and cared for at school because I have a lot of friends and teachers who care about me. And there's also a lot of cops here and teachers that will protect me if anything happens here.
Sweet.
I feel safe and careful when Ms. Dunn gives me a hug.
Well, that last student you just saw on video represents something that I think is so beautiful and wonderful about our Cleveland Schools community. That is DeStory Ector, and she is the granddaughter of Barbara Ector, a Cleveland City principal who dedicated her life to this work, to children, to families, and to community. And while Barbara is no longer with us, her legacy is. It lives on in her granddaughter. It lives on in our classrooms. It lives on in schools like Mayfield. Because in Cleveland, we are more than a district. We are a family. And in a family, the work never stops at one generation. It comes full circle. The students we serve today become the families we serve tomorrow. The love, the support, the belief we give them now come back to strengthen our entire community. That's the power of this work. That is the legacy we carry forward. And that's the responsibility we are proud to hold at Mayfield Elementary. Thank you. Can I answer any questions?
Dr. Bingham,
Yes,
I don't have a question, but I just want to thank you for the school that you lead and guide. And for those of you in the audience, if you've never been in Mayfield School, the brightness and it's just amazing to go in and see, and it's so warm and inviting, and I know the kids love to come there every day. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is an update on the Cleveland High School course guide for 26-27.
Okay, we have a few updates to the course guide, and I've asked Mr. Pritchard to come and share about the Cleveland High School course guide and share what changes are being made.
Got to clean my eyes off here after that one. That was so good. So I've got the infographic. Cody, if you can put the infographic up there. There's not been a lot of changes. It's more like an evolution. There's just been a few tweaks. One thing is we are moving Rise to a different time of day, and then we are adding a piano class, and that is partially grant funded by BCPEF. We got a grant for that, and so we are adding a piano class. And because of Mr. Simpson that was here earlier, Mr. Eric Simpson, he has gained lots of interest in a guitar class, and I told him when he first started this, I was like, if you will build it and they come, I'll give you a classroom for it. And so So he started with a club, and so then he grew it, and now we have a Guitar 1 class. Well, now we have kids wanting to take Guitar 2, and so we also created a Guitar 2 class. And so mainly the difference in Rise for this year is, and I think that's kind of the biggest change really, or the biggest tweak. There's not really a change, but the tweak is we are turning it into a true enrichment class, a true enrichment time. We've done a great job, I feel like, with the intervention during Rise, but we are now adding to that. Not adding, but we're kind of restructuring that with the enrichment piece. We have added 16, I think, CTE courses during that time, and we have also added athletics time during that time as well. And so you can see the infographic there, but I will be glad to answer any questions that you guys have. And also, we are now STEAM redesignated as well. So didn't want to call you out or anything. Yes. oh, elementary. Okay. Just making sure. But when they shouted, I thought there was confusion because when they shouted it out in Nashville, they didn't say Cleveland City Schools, but they did say Cleveland High School. So super excited about that. That was today, and that's thanks to Randy Stevens. I don't think he made it back yet. Becky Smith and also Dr. Brian Deloach for leading that charge and getting that redesignation. So we're super excited about that.
So, Mr. Pritchard,
Yes, sir.
those are the updates for the changes to the course guide.
Yes.
And the course guide's being presented. I bring the proposal to the board tonight to approve the course guide as presented on the agenda.
All right, board members, you have the course guide as presented. I'd like to entertain a motion. So moved. Mr. Coleman?
A second.
Ms. Ingram? Ms. Wheeler, please call the vote.
Peggy Pesterfield,
Yes.
Jody Riggins,
Yes.
Nate Tucker,
Yes.
Renee Diamond,
Yes.
Matt Coleman, Carolyn Ingram,
Yes.
Andy Lay.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Ms. Wheeler.
Thank you.
Mr. Pritchard?
Thank you so much.
All right, next on the agenda, we have textbook adoptions, and this is also a voting item.
Each year, we have textbooks to review and to consider for adoption. And this year, our focus was on wellness and some CTE areas. I've asked Dr. Lang, who helps us out with the adoption process, to come and present an overview of this process. Dr. Lang.
Thank you. Hello. This year, we do not have a large core subject for textbook adoption. The state usually does that every other year. If you'll recall, we had science adoption last year. So this year, what we're doing is we went by our philosophy that we have in the academics department. We believe in our classrooms, all students are capable of meeting the expectation of the standards and deserve strong, engaging instruction supported by highly aligned instructional materials and resources that make them excited about learning. You'll often see the initials HQIM, which is high quality instruction materials. The timeline for this adoption, the vendors had to be approved by the state and the State Textbook Commission. Then the approved vendors, I shared those with the supervisor of Career Technical Education, Mr. Randy Stevens, and the coordinator of School Helps, Ms. Laura Davis. Then in January 26, Mr. Stevens and Ms. Davis made presentations to committees that they formed of teachers who taught these subjects. Then what we did, as required by state law, we offered a feedback form for the community and access online or here at the ESC to look at the materials. And then, of course, today we're presenting this to the board. Now, for our public comments, the public had the opportunity to review the material, to look at it, and to give any comments. We only had one feedback from the public on this textbook adoption, and they really did not put in any fill-in comments. They just voted on what textbooks they felt they liked the best, and for the majority of those are the ones that our committees are presenting to you this evening. Our committees are showing that in middle school, for health education, the publisher is Goodhart Wilcox. For engineering and STEM, it is ICEV Multimedia. For the high school, Lifetime Wellness, Goodhart Wilcox. Information Technology, Code HS. Engineering and Robotics, Goodhart Wilcox. And Welding, Goodhart Wilcox. Those are the areas that were up for adoption this year. And so it is required by Tennessee law that this is brought to the school board for a vote.
Thank you, Dr. Lang. I bring a proposal that we adopt these titles that have been presented tonight for the wellness and CTE programs.
I make a motion that we accept the titles as presented to us for wellness and CTE. Second.
Ms. Diamond and Ms. Pesterfield. Ms. Wheeler, please call the vote.
Jody Riggins,
Yes.
Nate Tucker,
Yes.
Renee Diamond,
Yes.
Matt Coleman,
Yes.
Carolyn Ingram,
Yes.
Andy Lay,
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, we have the 26-27 budget presentation. And this is also a voting item.
All right, thank you, board. I'll share a few highlights from our preparation for the 2026-2027 budget. We have a printed copy at your area for reference as well. This is very similar to the copy that we met on April the 17th as we were looking at draft, with a few changes since that April 17th meeting to look at. Just a reminder about what our budget covers. It's the general purpose accounts, operational expenses for our daily operating costs. There are other budgets that go beyond this general budget. As a reminder, our federal budgets, title budgets, and IDA budgets are not included in this, but it is a funding source. We do have our food service, child nutrition budget that is included in here, and also a big funding piece that comes into this is our sales tax and capital projects that are outlined throughout this budget. We have several stages in the budget development process, and that begins mid-year for our school year and continues through the spring semester. Of course, we always are reviewing the data and our priorities and our plan of action that we have, our strategic plan. Also, as you remember, we have a TISA plan that we review and look at key goals in the area of math and reading. We hold stakeholder meetings during the spring semester. That is with our department leads and staff and administrators, our principals, to hear from the school perspective. We have a certified and a non-certified staff committee that we meet with in the spring to get feedback on needs that they are requesting. And also we have a family advisory council for feedback. During the process, we have had a board retreat in March to begin the process to share what our initial perspective is on the budget and what our preliminary expectations are as far as funding coming in. And then in mid-April, we had our follow-up meeting with amended thoughts and proposals. And then once that budget is approved, it will go from here, and we submit that to City Council to go for the overall city budget approval. The revenue summary, obviously state funding is a big portion of that. State of Tennessee in this budget is 63.5% of the funding. We do have thank you to Bradley County and the Cleveland City for their fund contributions. Bradley County a little over 26% and 9% city fund. Are the other components that are the main representation of our budget. In July of last year, as we were looking at TISA funds, which are our state funds that come in, that came in on July 1 at $44,955,866. Our March estimate that comes from the state, we have a spring estimate, and we'll have further estimates as we go into the July 1st final amount. We are a little lower than what we were last year. We were at $44,804,733, and so you can see the decrease of a little over $151,000 for the TISA component. Again, just a reminder, these are estimates that we base that off of, and we've done that the last few years now as we prepare our final budget and moving forward. As I mentioned earlier, we do have the additional funding sources. Some of those additional funding sources that do come in that help us out, the TISA outcomes funding as our third grade and our CTE and other components in the K-3 world perform, and our outcomes are in a positive light. We do receive some outcomes funding, so we project of having $151,000 to add to that budget for next year. Our property taxes, local options, sales taxes, and city general fund transfer, as you see, these are increases to what we had this past year at $221,243, $441,498, and $223,200. For paid parental leave, each year we project out of how much paid parental leave that we would be getting and needing. So we have looked at that and analyzed that in the past and projecting out that we didn't want to put too much into that amount as far as anticipating, so we went with an estimate that is a little, as you can see, $49,000 less than what we projected this past year. So all those important pieces are moving parts that go into the creation of the budget that we have before us. So when we set a stage and hearing from our staff, our individuals, and talking through the process, always we want to continue to help all our staff out across the board. And so increased and competitive salaries is always a main priority, and I appreciate our board for seeking and looking at that, ways to continue to be very competitive in pay scale. We have been one of the leaders in that across school systems across the state, and we want to continue to work towards that and be competitive to support our staff. Also, we did have a few additional key staff members that rose to the top as we discussed to look at budget priorities. So with that, just to keep in mind, if you, moving forward with this budget, if you were on a base classroom teacher pay scale, a bachelor, step 0, coming in fresh out of college, that would be at a $54,616 pay scale for next year. That would be the starting amount for a base, just to keep that in mind on the salary scale. So what does that mean? So if we do a step and salary increase for all our employees at a 1%, that's we need to figure that in as $816,192 for our budget. So as you remember, we just referred back to some of those increases that we were getting from additional funding, but also keeping in mind that TISA was tight. This is our proposal, is to bring a 1% increase to our step and salary for our staff for next year in Cleveland City Schools. Additional positions, the second priority that we looked at. We have a retirement and transition in our Student Information Systems Department. Data, as you know, and we report to the state on a regular basis and have to make sure we get that right because it's all related to what we're talking about tonight, funding. We analyzed that department and need to reorganize that a little bit, so there's an increase there of $23,000 for that. Also, we have a behavior program that is at the elementary level, and hearing from our staff at the elementary world, we want to continue to find ways to meet the needs of those students who are displaying extreme behaviors in the elementary classroom. So that is included there, and that number for the TAB teacher includes not only their salary but the benefits that would come with that. So that's what that number is based off of. And also, we have a school psychologist that is approved that we're need to move from the IDA budget, as I mentioned, over to the general budget that's before you this evening. The other budget items that we considered were the insurance annualization, and so there was an increase of that, and previously funded by the fund balance this past year in the amendment that you approved earlier. But then there were a decrease in, we looked at a decrease in some positions that is through attrition that we are accounting for. Also, contracted services and lawn care that is transitioning out because now we brought that in-house. So there were some adjustments to that, and these were the adjustments based off of that. The last piece that I did want to make sure that was clear in this evening's meeting, because I don't want any surprises out there for next year, but because we are trying to make sure we get a 1% raise for all our staff across the board, our Christmas bonus, our bonus that was in last year's budget, that was for, if you remember, for the certified teachers received a bonus from the state level, and that was not included in last year's budget. But for all other employees, we did give a bonus last year, and so that added up in our budget from last year of $300,471. In order to bring this to a balanced budget with a 1% increase in salary, we had to evaluate whether we were going to do the bonus or give everybody across the board, make sure the 1% was set. So that was the decision that we're bringing tonight. While we would love to be able to continue to do the bonus, and if things were to change, that'll be one of the first things I would bring back to you guys to consider. But at this time, that is where we are with that. Last few things, general budget, just a reminder, 83% of this general budget is salaries and benefits. So we have an operational budget for maintenance and instruction, supplies and utilities and insurance, just to keep in mind that the majority obviously is our salaries and benefits of the general fund budget. So tonight, our proposed 2026-2027 general budget is $72,713,372 actually. So that is that amount, and then the child nutrition amount that is in the budget as well is $4,674,981. And so these are the proposed budgets, and this is the proposal I bring to you tonight, is to adopt this budget as presented before you.
Thank you, Dr. Elliott. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we accept the budgets as presented with the following. I want to add that we map all of the state-coded budget items to a cost center in order to see detailed tracking for future planning purposes and decision-making. And this should be done and provided to the board before June 30th. And in that time frame, I would like board members to also provide additional items that they would like to see detailed out. That's the motion.
Does that apply to future years? What would be the timeline for that?
Yes, this is ongoing.
So with that next year's budget, would that be 30 days before this meeting or after the meeting? How's that go?
I think we already have that outlined in the policy.
Great. So I'll second his motion.
So we have a motion, a first and a second. Tucker and Coleman. Ms. Wheeler, call the vote.
Nate Tucker.
Yes.
Renee Diamond.
Yes.
Matt Coleman.
Yes.
Carolyn Ingram.
Yes.
Andy Lay.
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield.
Yes.
Jody Riggins.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the first reading of the policies. We'll turn to Ms. Riggins for those policies.
Okay. We have two to consider tonight. One is on student wellness. It's really just some rewording that was done by TSBA. You have a chance to look at that. The second one is refers to artificial intelligence programs, and this was changed by our tech people. The wording was just changed for security and for safety purposes, and it was okayed by TSBA. Any questions? Discussion?
Thank you, Ms. Riggins. We have first reading of policy for policy 6.411. I'd like to entertain a motion for the policy with the changes as presented.
So move.
Ms. Ingram?
Second.
Mr. Coleman? Ms. Wheeler, please call the vote.
Renee Diamond.
Yes.
Matt Coleman.
Yes.
Carolyn Ingram.
Yes.
Andy Lay.
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield.
Yes.
Jody Riggins.
Yes.
Nate Tucker.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the academic reflection. And I've asked Ms. Diamond to present from the podium. So.
Hi, board members. Thank you for having me to speak a little bit about academics here at Cleveland City. I've titled this section From Structure to Outcomes, Aligning Our System for Student Success, because, you know, at the end of the day, what we're looking for is to make sure that we are doing everything we can to boost student achievement. And so that is my area, so thank you for allowing me to speak on that. All right. So as board members, the core of our role really is leveraging the tools that are available to us to affect change. Those tools are the strategic plan, the budget, and policy. And so in regards to that, I'd also like to say how well I think our chairman and our director of schools do in our board meetings of keeping the main thing the main thing. We always address our strategic plan, you know, budget, policy. As evidence tonight, we definitely leverage those things to make this district work. But each of us have sought this role because we believe that we can contribute to that work through our individual expertise and perspectives. And so I want to talk to you about why I think this conversation is important and why it's important now. So I came to this role really with 3 areas that are guiding the way that I approach the work. First is a deep understanding of teaching and learning and the classroom practices that really move student achievement in the right direction. Second is an understanding of the systems and processes that need to be in place at the school level and the district level to affect the changes that we want to see in the classroom and accelerate growth. And third, the ability to use local and external data to drive academic improvement. And when those things are aligned, when high impact classroom practices, the systems and the effective use of data are aligned, we can accelerate outcomes for students because high-impact classroom practices define what effective teaching looks like. Strong school and system supports ensure that those practices are implemented consistently and at scale. And data, when well used, helps us to identify our targets, make them clear, focuses effort, and allows us to monitor how we are achieving those goals so that we can provide quick, targeted support when needed and replicate what is working well in our schools. So again, when all 3 of these are aligned, we move from isolated success to system-wide improvement, and that's what accelerates student outcomes. So for the past year and a half, I have really spent my time observing in school visits, looking at data, which is a weird pastime of mine, and asking questions to see where we are as a district and to develop an understanding of the areas that I just discussed and how they function here. Recently, I got to sit down with Dr. Elliott and asked him a series of questions around those 3 particular areas, and we had a wonderful, thoughtful, very organized conversation where I really gained a lot of information, and really a lot was affirmed for me in terms of thinking about how strong our district level academic team is. The structures are there. So you can see here, I've listed some of the things that were very clear to me in looking over data, looking over structures, and being in classrooms. So there is a clearly articulated vision for ELA and math instruction in Cleveland City. It's clear, it's available, and it's detailed. We have an active instructional coaching model in place, which is informed by classroom observations. Those are happening, and there are a lot of them happening. So there's a lot of coaching happening in our schools. In terms of strong supportive district and school systems, there are well-defined roles and responsibilities for district and school-based support staff. PLCs are informed, that's professional learning communities, are informed by best practice. They use a model that is kind of a national model, the Dufour model for PLCs, and the topics are very relevant and high leverage. Common formative assessments and lesson internalization. Another thing that I noticed that I really appreciated is there's a feedback loop between the schools and the central office. And in terms of effective use of data, it was very evident that our schools and teachers are using tools like the state standards analysis documents as data comes in to plan their year and professional development. There is a robust benchmarking system in elementary and middle through iReady. I believe Ms. Bender and Ms. Lang shared those with us at a previous meeting. And we also have a new system for benchmarking at Cleveland High School through Mastery Connect, which is a great thing to have in place. There's also a strong team observations are driving coaching, and there's a strong use of the instructional practice guides, which are released by the State Department of Education. These guides, they really do define what high-quality instruction looks like, subject-specific. There are guides for early literacy, there are guides for math, I believe there's even science and social studies guides now. And those are used to, again, define what high quality looks like, but also assess that those practices are happening in the classroom. And I was able to see multiple classroom visits using these IGPs across the district. So that brings us to the question. If we have these practices and these systems and our use of data is in place, then how are these efforts translating into results for students? So I really appreciated Dr. Bingham's comments about data, and we care about data, but there are also other elements. And I could have pulled, and as you might know about data, you can pull whatever data sources that you need and massage them in a way to speak the language that you need it to speak. But two of those data points that are very difficult to massage are growth and achievement. And so we are going to talk about those in just a second. But the questions that I'm interested as I look at data are the high impact practices that we have consistently reaching classrooms? Are our systems producing the level of coherence that we intend? And is our use of data truly driving improvement? So again, I'm going to talk about the two main data points that are given to us by the State Department, and that is achievement and growth. So achievement provides a snapshot of proficiency. So it represents the percentage of students performing at various levels on state assessments in that moment of time that they take that state assessment. The levels are 1, below expectations, 2, approaching expectations, 3, meeting expectations, and 4 is exceeding expectations. And when I talk to you about are we proficient or not as we move forward, that is a combination of levels 3 and 4. Are the students meeting and exceeding expectations? So achievement is a very important metric for our students. It helps to open doors for advanced classes. Things like ACT really are correlated to achievement. It helps us to understand where students are right now. whether they are meeting grade level expectations on state assessments. And it also allows us to benchmark ourselves against the state and other districts, our peer districts in the Southeast Core region or like districts. So achievement for me has always been, to me, the more important of the two, because at the end of the day, what we want is for our students to achieve mastery of the standards and develop their expertise in their content area. So I'm going to show you some longitudinal data around achievement in Cleveland City over the past few years. So what you're looking at there, the orange line represents the state achievement level in ELA, and this is all students, ELA. Whereas the bottom line, the royal blue line, that you can't really tell is royal blue, but that is Cleveland City's achievement in ELA. And again, this is all grades, all schools, all students. We can drill down to specific schools, grade levels, et cetera, and that is definitely worth doing. But for the purposes of this presentation, this is achievement at a higher level. And what you'll see here is after COVID, the state and the district were about at the same proficiency level, but that gap has widened over the last few years. So our recent trends are showing that we are growing, but we are not growing as fast as the state. And so this is giving us a gap in proficiency that we need to close by accelerating learning. Now, math has a little bit of a different story. Similar to ELA, the state is improving, and we are also improving at a pace that maintains the gap. So while progress is happening for us, we are not yet accelerating in a way that is closing gaps. And you can see those percentages are very, we're accelerating right about like the state is accelerating, but we had some time there where we were lagging behind, and so now we really need to close that gap. So our science shows a relatively stable pattern over time. We came out of COVID behind, and we have been really improving, as you can see that blue line over time. In the observations that I've done and that we've done and seeing the work in STEAM, I really have high hopes for science. It's been an area that we've been steadily growing in, and I believe that we have good things ahead. But again, we still need to make sure that our rate of acceleration is closing these gaps. Now, I did not include social studies. The reason for that is, our elementary schools do not take social studies state assessments, and quite frankly, the way that the state has been determining our U.S. history metrics really is trying to discourage us from doing dual enrollment, which is what's best for kids. So the instruction team has a meeting coming up where we're going to talk about how to make sure we are working with the state to have a actual reflective achievement of what we can do as a district. So I'm looking forward to that. So again, achievement. We have achievement goals in our strategic plan. But how is it that we want to define success? Right now, I think we should take a look at that and make sure that what our plans are going to systematically reduce those gaps. So growth. Growth is represented by the term TVAS, which it stands for the Tennessee Value Added Assessment System. It is a statistical model that is very, very complex. I would venture to say probably Dr. Kars may know how this is developed, but it is definitely a black box. Essentially, the way, though, that it is determined is every student in our district in a tested grade or subject has an expected growth that they are to meet based on the expected growth of peers across the state that are just like them. So every student essentially adds to this TVAS rating in one of three ways. They either meet the expectation that was set for them by all of the students in the state with similar testing histories, or they exceed that expected growth, or they fall below that expected growth. And so in a nutshell, that is kind of how TVAS works. And we end up getting for groups a 1 out of 5 rating. 5 is that the growth is significantly above expectations and that there's strong statistical evidence to support that rating. A level 4 is also growth above expectations, with maybe not as much statistical certainty. Level 3, growth is at expected levels, or there's not enough evidence to say that it is above or below. So when you get a 3, or when a school or a teacher, because teachers get these individual TVAS scores that are part of their teacher evaluation, a significant part, I might add, a 3 is considered 1 year's growth as expected. But getting 3s are not going to close gaps. And then level 2 is below expectations. Level 1 is significantly below expectations with strong statistical competence. So think about TVAS as the velocity by which students progress through in terms of growth. So when we get these TVAS ratings, these are 1-year scores that are determined based on how other systems in the state are performing and how other students in the state are performing. So innovation really matters where TVAS is concerned. Innovation really matters. I honestly believe that part of the reason why TVAS was introduced in Tennessee is to spark innovation. If you're continuing to do the same practices that you've always done, eventually you're going to settle into that level 3. But it's innovation that brings 4 and 5. When a school is out of, like when a district is out of school for natural disasters and that sort of thing. Yes, the TVAS is adjusted by the number of days that they're in, but you're going to see if you're in school and you're teaching and you're being innovative, these level 5s are going to happen. I expect some good things from Cleveland High just from having RISE change times. I would expect that's going to have a great impact. So this is our district growth trends. This is overall district on TVAS for the last 4 years. So you can see our and don't be fooled too much by the sharpness of the lines. It's 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5 ratings. So you can see how we have grown over time since COVID, and I'll just let you take a look at that. And let me just say that when you have a district of our size, when one school has a bad year in terms of growth, it really can pull down the overall composite. And these, this is literacy. All literacy tests, all students all grade levels. Numeracy, all math tests, all schools, all grade levels. And look at science. Very impressive. This is the kind of acceleration that we need. And I'm not surprised to see it, the work that we've done to get STEAM and STEM certification, the grants that I see written by classroom teachers that are STEM focused, our robust CTE program. This really is paying dividends. You can see it here. So the last piece of data that I want to share with you is not a state data set. I mentioned earlier that the IPGs, or instructional practice guides, are being used extensively across the district to do classroom walkthroughs to see what types of subject-specific strategies are working well and what ones need to be improved. And this was telling to me because our professional learning communities are focused on developing common formative assessments, and that is hard work. But when we look at the data set that I had from 2 semesters or 2 quarters, right now in ELA, in the classroom, we are seeing that teachers are only 28% of their observations have teachers deliberately checking for understanding and adjusting lessons. And in math, we only have 13% of teachers in that data set that are using internal summaries to pause and ensure understanding. So we are doing great work. Our structures are in place. But we need to be diligent to make sure that these structures and this learning is actually transferring to the classroom. So right now, our strategic plan does have measurable goals that are generally 3% a year, TVOS level 3 or higher, and you can take a look at some of those goals. And what I would propose is that we reconsider these goals to make sure that we have high expectations for ourselves in closing gaps and accelerating learning. I'll just also go to, this is our ELA goal. And yes, we definitely want to increase the percent of students that are proficient each year. But I can tell you, to close some of these gaps, we're going to have to increase by more than 3%. There's a formula which I didn't bring because it's just it's actually pretty simple, but I didn't want to belabor you with a lot of formulas. But the state determines how well we are progressing in achievement by something called AMOs, Annual Measurable Objectives. And it has always been my opinion that our goals should be tied to these annual measurable objectives, because the state is going to award us points or not award us points based on us meeting our annual measurable objectives and even double annual measurable objectives to close the gap quickly. So another noticing in looking at our strategic plan, this is ELA, the action steps are the right action steps. The district has the right idea on how to move student achievement at scale. But I wonder, with very few required resources, very few projected costs, it takes more than just warm bodies, or, well, let me not say warm bodies, scratch that. It takes more than just very competent supervisors and instructional specialists to close this gap. It takes professional development, it takes resources, And I wonder if perhaps we have not dug down deep enough to really think about what it's going to take to make these action steps successful. I want us to have that conversation because it's very, I'm sure, tempting for a district to present a budget that is lean and that meets, that so that we stay in the black or in the red, whichever one that is. I think it's black. But at the same time, the reason that we're here is to make sure that our students get a quality education. And I think that is paramount, and I am looking to identify what the resources are and support our schools and district in obtaining those resources. And then this is math, which is similar. And then, of course, STEAM, which I think we're doing a great job with STEAM, for sure. So that brings me to what I actually have in mind for this time with you today. Because the strategic plan, the budget, and policy are our levers, and because time is of the essence, our students deserve all of the resources that we can pour into them, and the most important factor in student achievement is the classroom teacher. And I want to make sure that our teachers are supported, that their schools are learning institutions for them just as well as it is for students. So I would like to make a motion that we do a couple of things. One is that we revisit the strategic plan to ensure that our goals, our KPIs are explicitly targeting closing achievement gaps and accelerating student growth beyond the expected levels. And also to review the action steps, the resources, and the projected costs that go along with those to make sure that we are funding the high-impact instructional practices and systems that will lead to our students closing achievement gaps. They deserve that. And as well, through policy, I would like to, much like we have a facilities committee, develop an academics committee where that would be composed of board members and district staff determined by Dr. Elliott, so that we can quarterly meet to look at our student outcomes and see how they are progressing and make sure that we are on track to meeting our goals. I would also like to see a dedicated annual retreat following accountability assignments so that we can align our strategic plan, budget, and policy decisions to make sure that we are best supporting our schools where academics are concerned. And with that, I will answer any questions that you may have.
Before you do that, we do have a motion on the floor. So is there a second? Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and we will not be voting on this because it's not on our agenda, but we will revisit it in the very future. So we'll open it up for questions and comments.
Let me make a comment real quick. I appreciate Ms. Diamond for our conversations we've had in recent days and months, and looking ahead and being forward-thinking in our academics department, and appreciate the insight and the thoughts regarding some of these things. Just a reminder, the strategic plan, I think it'll be a good time coming up very soon to revisit that together. We do have an LEA plan that is being finalized and developed. It's a 3-year plan the state requires of us that includes many of these goals that we have talked about and mentioned tonight. And I think that will be a good time for us to dive in and look at what those goals are set and take a look at that. So maybe a future board retreat I would recommend for us to look ahead and take a dive into that to kind of take Ms. Diamond's request this evening to the next step in a timely fashion. I think that would be important to do. And then obviously we do have a policy subcommittee that I'll be happy to work with our policy subcommittee to help coordinate a proposal to bring back to you regarding the academics committee that is brought into this proposal. Even though we don't have a vote tonight, I did want to follow up a little bit on a couple of these proposals that are here that Ms. Diamond has presented this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Ellett. Any other comments, questions?
And would you clarify a little what the motion is exactly?
The motion is what's presented on the screen there. It was a long word.
Yes, two parts.
Two parts.
Really, part one is that we revisit the strategic plan and make sure that our goals, our action steps, and our resources are supportive and result in the gap closures that I think we all want to see. And the second really is two parts. I would like to see in policy, much like the facilities committee is in policy, and academics committee.
So the motion is all of these things?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions?
No, and I think that you bring up some great ideas, and I think that to me, this is just things that we need to sit down and discuss, and that's why I seconded the motion. I think it's going to be a great time for us to sit down and dig into these and really sharpen the pencils in how we make that work, because I like the committee. I like all of that stuff, so thank you.
I do have a question. Renee, is it fair to say that the more ESL students you have, the more difficult it is to raise your TVOS scores?
You might think so, but actually our ESL work is some of the strongest that we have. So our work with ESL has actually benefited us.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thanks, Ms. Diamond. All right, next item on the agenda is future child care program.
Yeah, I just wanted to take just a quick minute to bring you an update and to share more in the obviously in the future. But one of the programs that we have in our strategic plan that we're really taking a look at is pre-K programming in our system and growing that, but also child care programming for staff members. And we've been reaching out to a potential partner to develop a child care program for some of our staff members for next year. We are going to continue having dialogue with that in the near future. And so as the early summer comes along, I'll be hopefully bringing another update to you for consideration. But I just wanted to put that on your radar tonight, that we are working towards meeting that strategic plan to grow not only the pre-K programs. We did have approval for 10 pre-K programs from our volunteer pre-K organization, where we do outsource that through our Family Resource Agency recently, and now we are in the process of having discussion to develop a child care program opportunity for some of our staff members' children next year. So it's exciting. I'll have more details to share with you very soon, but I just wanted to put that on your radar.
Thank you, Dr. Ellett. Next item on the agenda is strategic plan focus.
All right, our strategic plan focus on our annual report is for this month, coordinated school health and our healthy students component, and Laura Davis will come present that.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. Just kind of share some of the things that Coordinated School Health is doing and has done this year. So on the first page here, at the bottom, you'll see the 8 components of Coordinated School Health. And so when you look at that wheel, that really is just our Student Services Department. That just encompasses all of that. And then Coordinated School Health in our district, I really focus on some of those top four. So staff wellness, health education, physical activity, and health services. Those are mainly my focus. And so when I set my goals, those are what I look at, and I overlap into those other components as well, and I'm willing to support them and help them out as much as I can. But my main focus is usually on those other four. This next year, when I wrote my goals for this and the strategic plan last year, whenever we set those, they changed our model. And so this year, these are more data aligned, and we will have data points that we do, but I have tried to keep my coordinated school health goals, my strategic plan goals aligned. So with that, integrating physical education, skill assessments, and this is something that Dr. Elliott and I have discussed, and this is one that he wanted us to do, and that is to really improve athletic skill development from elementary to middle to high school, and those locomotor skills that we see in our students and our athletes. The second one is to improve the return to class rate for school clinics, and really using our telemedicine program to try to do this. Focusing more on our uninsured, that's something that we don't see a lot of those students using that service, and so focusing on that and trying to improve those numbers. Implement a district-wide health education assessment. That would be for our students, our staff, our families, and trying to see where we need to support their health and that education, using education to support that. Target staff wellness in identified schools, and we would use the Tennessee Educator survey results and really look at those and see which schools really focus maybe on one or two schools that we're seeing that their number or their results on that survey are low in the part that says my school's climate values my personal wellness, and so seeing how we can support them there. And then if you'll go to the next page. Thank you. All right, and this is this year's report. So you'll see there in the student health section at the top, this is just kind of what we've done this year. We've screened over 2,000 students, had 405 vision referrals, 49 hearing referrals, and then the last one there is that's based on last year's results of our screenings. And Cleveland City Schools, that was our 43% was our obesity and overweight rate, and so that's a little bit above the state average, which the state average is 39.8%. And so I do believe that we had really good data, though. We screened a higher percentage than the state. We screened over 60% of our students, and the state, that's double what most of the states. So I think that our data is just very accurate and gives us a great picture of what our students' needs are. Our clinic visits, and I talked about return to class rate earlier, we are right on the state average of that. So 89% is what the state average is, but I do think there's room for improvement there when we focus on those students and telemedicine and trying to get those back into class a lot quicker. Telemedicine is something that we always focus on. That's a great investment through our Public Ed Foundation and the United Way. And so really trying to increase those visits. And that's kind of incomplete data just because it is through April, the 1st of April. We have done 112 visits. And last year at this time, though, we had only completed 54. So there has been a great improvement there this year. Staff wellness. And that's always near and dear to my heart, trying to take care of our staff. But we do a newsletter once a month where we try to give challenges and things for our staff to do and to increase their mental, their physical health. And last year we had 71 participants all year long. This year we have increased that to 174 participants. And then our total responses, when they respond, they tell you, I did something for my mental health, I did something for my physical health, and so last year we had a 381% response increase, so that's great as well. So we have a lot more people participating, a lot more people trying to focus on their health. And then the last part there, the goals and the highlights, those kind of match up. So the bullet points on the left with the goals that we set for this year match up with the bullet points on the right, and so we've talked about telemed, and these, like I said, this is kind of some data that is incomplete at this point that we're still working on. But a couple of things, like we redesigned the Coordinated School Health website, and we made templates for these annual reports. So it's not something that you can look at, you can refer to. We'll put this on the website. It's the parents can look at it, our community can see it. We present this to the Health Council, to our school health advisory committees, and all of those. So this is just something that I wanted to kind of streamline and make it look nice and be available for those stakeholders. The other thing that this year that we've done, we've included 3 new health education opportunities. Next week, I believe, we'll be doing safety around water with Arnold second graders, which is going to be a lot of fun. I will be using the Denning Center pool, and they will be learning. It's not about teaching them how to swim, but how to survive if they were to need to be in a situation where they couldn't swim or couldn't figure out a way to get out of the water. So also Arnold, Breathe for Change, we've implemented that there. Miss Jessica Frazier does a great job teaching that to her students. And then we are going to be releasing some newsletters that focus on some physical health, mental health, nutrition, just health education opportunities, and just topics at the end of this month. So that will be coming up. All Healthy School teams completed their school health index this year, and they wrote their action plans for the school year based on those results. And then like I said, we built on last year's success with staff wellness and integrated family and student wellness through the newsletter. So that will be coming up. The last thing, that if you want to look at the other coordinated school health reports and data and all of that, you can do that with that QR code there and kind of compare where Cleveland City is to other districts across the state. So thank you for allowing me to share. Does anyone have any questions?
Do we have a bingo challenge this year?
No, I did leave that out this year, but thank you all for participating in that last year. I know you all already know this, but we were awarded $8,000, and we will be using that towards mostly staff wellness initiatives for the next year. So,
Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is student representatives update and recognition. But before I turn it over to her, Miss Lily has her family here, and generally I introduce them, but she introduced them the first meeting, so I want her to introduce her family the last meeting. So before she gets started.
All right. So we have my sister Emma, who goes to Bradley, but it's okay because she comes here. And I have my mom, and then I have my papa and my nana who came from Florida to come to graduation, but to come to this too. Here's my May update for May. Again, as mentioned before, the mathletes competed at the competition at Lee University. 10 students from CHS competed in non-calculator exams with multiple choice questions, and free response. CHS won second place overall, and senior Aiden Samanek won second place in individual score. And then some senior events. We had 28 distinguished graduates who are Raider Scholars who also have a 4.0. So there were 28 of those this year, and they got to honor a teacher that made a difference. So that was pretty special. And then senior night was held at First Baptist, as mentioned before, April 27th, to celebrate various accomplishments, hand out awards, and some scholarships as well. May 1st was College Signing Day, and seniors were able to walk through their old elementary schools and Cleveland Middle School. And then May 3rd, so this past Sunday, was the baccalaureate service held at Public Church. Then TVEC had their graduation medal ceremony. This group of students will graduate from Cleveland State Community College and Cleveland High School on the same day with their associates and then their high school diploma. So, prom was also this month. It was held at 5 points. Harbor Nowlin won prom king, and Adam Marie France won prom queen, and other members of the senior class were also on the court. The fine arts have had a busy month this month with Seussical starting out. They were so packed the last night that they had to pull up chairs. That's how many people wanted to see it, and it was so good. I got to see it on opening night. Additionally, the choir department held their end of the year concert. So Ebony and Ivory and Renaissance and the jazz choir performed. And then the band concert held its annual concert. So. Sports, senior Solon Bolaños made history for CHS against Walker Valley, breaking the school's all-time goal record. The previous record of 62 goals had been set by Mark Stewart since 1994. Pictured together are the former record holder and the new one, as Sloan scored his 63rd goal. So, Annie Hill has set the record in the 300-meter hurdles with a time of 46:51, defeating the previous record set by Tiana Jones in 2021. Tomorrow, the track team is heading to the sectional meet up in Cookville for a chance to qualify for state, and the baseball team has secured the district championship title. The Special Olympics, students from Cleveland competed in bocce and won first overall for their division. So, and this was their first time competing, I believe. So, some upcoming events: the senior party is this Thursday. Graduation is this Friday, and then the Blue Sea Awards to honor various athletes and coaches is Saturday. So next year, since this is my last meeting, so next year I'm heading to Tennessee Tech to study biology. And I just want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity to be able to serve the school system and learn so many important skills that I'll be able to take on with me from a team of board members, principals, and staff who take obvious pride in their roles to better Cleveland City schools. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hakes. You know, over the years, with being on the board, the students have increased every year, and I will say thank you for setting a new standard. And so we appreciate the work you've done, the voice you've had. And so before we turn it over to Dr. Elliott to make a presentation, board members, is there anything you want to say to Ms. Hakes?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You did a great job. You're a lovely young lady. You have a bright future ahead of you.
Thank you. You've done a great job. We really appreciate you.
So we have a little certificate and a little award for you, and a $2 check. And so, so if you'll step around with Dr. Elliott, that'd be great.
She racked up at the awards night.
I know. And who knew she was a dancer? And that's okay.
Oh, we get a picture.
All right, next on the agenda, which is hard to follow that, is Mr. Lay.
That's right. We transitioned to facilities. That's right.
Facilities update from Mr. Lay.
Okay, so there are two facilities-related proposals that are being brought before the board tonight for a vote. The first item is from the Facilities Committee, so we'll vote on that item, and then I'll hand it over to you for the other item.
Sounds good.
And the first item relates to the ambulance that's owned by the school system. And I will read that proposal. The Facilities Committee proposes that the Cleveland City Board of Education approve the transfer of ownership of the district-owned ambulance to Bradley County Emergency Medical Services, contingent upon the terms and conditions outlined in the Memorandum of Understanding between Cleveland City Schools and Bradley County Emergency Medical Services.
Thank you, Mr. Lay. We have a recommendation from the Facilities Committee, which is also the first or the motion. So I'd like to entertain a second for this recommendation as presented by Mr. Lay.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Reagans. Ms. Wheeler, will you call the vote?
Matt Coleman,
Yes.
Carolyn Ingram,
Yes.
Andy Lay,
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield,
Yes.
Jody Riggins,
Yes.
Nate Tucker,
Yes.
Renee Diamond.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'll take the second one, as Mr. Lay mentioned. This one is one that did not have the opportunity to be approved through the committee, but it is a timely one that we did discuss with the committee the other day. This is regarding Yates Primary and the carpet in the gym. It is in need of being replaced with a different type of flooring. And so we analyzed our capital plan, that is a 5-year plan that's out there. And there was a painting schedule, there is a painting schedule in that plan. And so we looked at that and believe that right now the painting at Yates is good. And so the timely way to use those funds moving forward was to look at making a change in the flooring in the gym at Yates. So I recommend that the Cleveland City Board of Education approving the amendment to the capital plan by revising that paint schedule to allow for Yates Primary to look at the removal of carpet and change and have a new gym floor installed at Yates Primary. And that's my proposal.
All right, board members, you received a recommendation from the Director of Schools. As stated, I'd like to entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we revise the capital plan to allow for that change.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Diamond and Ms. Pesterfield. Ms. Wheeler, please call the vote.
Carolyn Ingram,
Yes.
Andy Lay,
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield,
Yes.
Jody Riggins,
Yes.
Nate Tucker,
Yes.
Renee Diamond,
Yes.
Matt Coleman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a legislative update, and we'll turn to Ms. Ingram for that.
If you brought your 106 bills that was presented to the legislator this year and get them out, we're going to go over them. I think that the 2 hours we've had, we would probably all go to sleep. But anyway, there's been no bills introduced since I gave you those last month, and I talked with Nolan Combs from the TSBA, who is the Director of Government Relationships, and he and I talked today, and he said he doesn't see any other bills coming to the legislation from TSBA or any of the other schools. So we'll just wait and get all of those in July when we're in Gatlinburg for the conference there to go over all the bills. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Ingram. And that is the last regular agenda item. So it is 7:23, and I will adjourn this meeting.